Hockeytown, it's a place where dreams are found. We fought so many battles here, now we're the ones that they will fear. The cup resides within our town, we won't stop no letting down. The cup is ours, we're all to drink. It's our time, let's rock this ring.
What is up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Hockeytown Rundown. You are here with us, your boys, once again, Matt, Derek, and Zach. What is up, everyone? How you guys doing this weekend?
Oh, just living the dream over here, doing absolutely nothing on a weekend. Had a chaperone a prom yesterday, so you know.
Ew.
Yeah, trust me, that was the feeling for 4 hours straight.
You looked great, though. I saw the photo. You guys looked fantastic.
I think I look better than 80% of the people there, but you know, that's just me saying that to myself. So.
And Sarah was the other 20%, right?
Yeah, that's very true. But we'll ignore that factor.
What about you, Matt? Did you go to prom too?
I did not go to prom. Just got to enjoy our favorite holiday yesterday, the Leafs Elimination Day. Always a good time. Happy Leafs Elimination Day to everybody out there who celebrates, which is everyone outside of Toronto and Ontario. So, yeah, doing pretty good. Also, today's Cinco de Mayo. So, definitely going to crack open some ice cold cervezas after this.
Derek's got his lemonade ready.
There you go.
Let's go.
All right. Well, if you guys haven't noticed, we're doing a tier list today of the Red Wings regular season 2023-2024. But before we continue, we want to thank you all for stopping by. If you are new, thanks for stopping by. Thanks for returning if you're returning. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. Why don't you go ahead and hit the thumbs up button? Let's try and get this to 20 thumbs up. That definitely helps us out and takes us a long way. If you're on Spotify, go ahead and rate us the 5 stars and hit that follow button. So what do we got today? We're going to do the tier list. We got light Red Wings news. We got some around the league news because of playoff updates. And so, boys, let's go into it. Red Wings news. Trey Augustine makes the World Championship roster. They're on their way to Czechia, but at the cost of losing Dylan Larkin to injury. Is it Trey Augustine's fault?
I mean, who else are we going to blame at this point? We can't blame the one in Detroit.
It's very cool, though, that Trey Augustine is getting to go. I'm sure he's not the starter. It's probably going to be Alex Lyon, but if he can get in a game or two and get a win, I think that's awesome. What do you think, Matt?
Yeah, it's really exciting to see that he's going to be playing. And yeah, I do think he'll get a game or two in. I don't know. I mean, this championship, like, obviously it's bigger over in Europe, but it feels like for the US and Canada, it's like, yeah, okay, it's kind of a big deal, but also the playoffs are still going on. So that's at the forefront of everybody's mind. And yeah, no, it's really cool. You get to see like that little snapshot of the future. I mean, who knows? I don't think Alex Lyon is going to be around when Augustine actually gets on the team. You never know. Maybe he will. Maybe we'll get another deal. But yeah, it's really cool to see that the Red Wings are 100% represented in that.
Yeah, for sure. No, congratulations to Jeff Petrie, Alex Lyon, and Trey Augustine once again for making the team. I'm sorry, Dylan Larkin. I wish I could watch you play in that tournament. It's kind of unfortunate. Hopefully it's not too serious and he can, make training camp and everything that comes with that. So moving on into around the league news, before we go into the playoff updates, just want to make mention that the Lightning did extend head coach John Cooper through the 25-26 season. So for 2 more years, good for them. Honestly, they might make assistant coaching changes. I don't know what Jeff Blashill's contract looks like, but being out of the first round 2 years in a row is pretty rough. So Calder Trophy finalist Connor Bedard of the Chicago Blackhawks, Brock Faber of the Minnesota Wild, Luke Hughes, New Jersey Devils. Are you guys surprised by any of these? And who's your pick?
Be surprised if Connor Bedard doesn't actually win it. So that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
Would you though? Because of, I don't know. I feel like Brock Faber has a really good chance at getting it when you have Connor Bedard, who was out for a little bit.
Because he broke his face being out for a little bit of time. But at the same time, he still came back and is producing more points and more offensive talent. Just don't look at that plus minus. Obviously, everyone in Chicago's team plus minus is not pretty. So you just can't look at that.
True.
But obviously, if they just want to go about who all around is the best player right now as a rookie, I mean, he just kind of wins it. It sucks.
You picking Bedard too, Matt?
Yeah, I think maybe I would have to give the edge to him. I mean, it's at the end of the day, the Calder is really more of a popularity contest than it is anything else. And Bedard is the face of the league. I mean, it's going to kind of be a bad look if the NHL's supposed superstar of tomorrow doesn't actually win Rookie of the Year when he actually is the favorite. He has more points than Faber. I think people saying Faber might win it is a little bit of the Mo Seider effect, where, back when he won it, obviously it's impressive for a D-man to do that at the age that he is, but also, I mean, Connor Bedard missed time and still put up more points than him. I mean, imagine what he did over an 82 game season. And I also want to mention the Blackhawks are one of the worst teams in the league, and Bedard did what he did with pretty much no supporting cast whatsoever. Obviously, the Wild didn't make the playoffs, but they were way better than the Blackhawks. So, yeah, I think it was hard to say that that he's not deserving of the Calder.
I'm sorry, Brock Faber. I couldn't defend you well enough. They made a really good argument there. So I could see, I have an argument for Brock Faber. Faber, you guys slightly heard it right. Not going into full detail, but yes, I would expect Connor Bedard to win this, even with breaking his face and wearing a bubble and making it a trend throughout all of hockey. You all right over there, Derek? It got dark.
Yeah, you saw it too, right? I was like, what light went out? I'm like looking at my lamp, looking at my little ring light. I'm like, what happened?
Derek's having round 2 of the solar eclipse in his living room.
Well, at least it's not as dark as the Arizona Coyotes for you, Derek, because the rumors coming out of the mill that, I don't know if you guys heard this or not, but the Coyotes allegedly were late to paying hotel bills and at times would cross out the total and pay different amount. That is like...
That's what I do with my landlord too.
Oh, what's the TV? That's Trailer Park Boys stuff right there.
Yeah, right? That's the funniest thing I've ever heard anything happen in the NHL, just because it's so obliviously just stupid to do. Like, they have so much money. Like, I know you're not bringing in a lot right now as the Arizona Coyotes, but you got enough to pay your hotel bill for your players at the Holiday Inn. Jesus Christ.
Other sources indicated local businesses would come to the team seeking for payments, would be offered a fraction of what was owed, and then would be negotiated down to take less than what was actually owed. That is, yeah, that's pure Trailer Park Boys stuff right there. That is...
How is that legal?
Hold on, there's more. Satisfying Morello was the NHL's most challenging task in the transaction made between the three parties, right? It went from Arizona to the NHL to Utah. Multiple sources told ESPN at the All-Star game that there was concern Morello could litigious. I don't know words very well. If the league attempted to emancipate the franchise from him and force a relocation. Did I say that word right, boys?
Why not? Sure.
Oh, wow. Okay. Thanks, guys.
Wrong group of people to ask that question to.
I don't think anyone in the audience is going to care. We have no lawyers listening to this podcast.
Hey, you never know. So the NHL created what Bettman called, this is quoted, a scenario that I don't think anybody's ever done before, end quote, in sports. The Coyotes were deactivated and the franchise was moved to Utah. The Coyotes will be reactivated if Morello is able to, quote, fully construct a new state-of-the-art facility appropriate for an NHL team within 5 years, end quote. He keeps all the intellectual property for the team, from the logos to the name to the records. Do we actually think, let's say that they are able to get a spot to get an arena, but do we trust him to run another team if he didn't do a good job the first time?
Well, I mean, if they can get a new spot for an arena, according to Bettman, that's all that needs to happen. You know, all the other stuff can be brushed under the rug as long as they get a new arena in 5 years and they can come back under the same ownership. And we'll just have Atlanta. I don't even know if it's 2.0. Is it 3.0, 4.0? Like, I don't know what the NHL's obsession is with just having terrible ownership groups and giving them time after time after time, chance after chance to have an NHL team. The owner has displayed that he is totally inept at running an NHL franchise, and somehow that has proved that he can have another chance. I mean, I would love to see the Coyotes come back. I would love to see them come back, but be a successful franchise this time around, because you can't just run it back with the same ownership group. You're going to have pretty much the exact same scenario. So I would love to see them back one day, but my God, someone else has to be running the show there.
Yeah, and that's how I feel too, Matt. I'm okay with Arizona becoming a team again, but I would want it under a different ownership, because for so long they were just flat out mediocre. Do you feel the same way, Derek?
Oh, I definitely agree with both of you on this point, but the problem is I don't see Morello going anywhere, just because the fact that the league just gave him $1 billion. That's $1 billion to buy that team from him. And there's not too many people in Arizona who have $1 billion lying around now that want to invest in a hockey team. So I think we might be just kind of screwed in the long run for this one, unless some other, like if Ryan Reynolds, and Snoop Dogg want to jump down out to Arizona, I'm not going to be upset. But I don't think Ryan Reynolds is going to leave Canada anytime soon. So,
I mean, do you be surprised within 5 years if there's a group out there that just collects, pools in money for ownership, much like how, Ryan Reynolds and Snoop Dogg, how they were getting other people to invest to pool in the money? There could be a situation like that. Unfortunately, that's not going to be the case, because Morello will remain an observer at the board of governors as the owner of the deactivated team. So he's more than likely going to get another team. It's going to be his, whether if we like it or not, but it's going to be an expansion team. So we'll just have to wait and see. There's
an expansion team of the Arizona Coyotes.
Imagine collecting all those draft picks that they have for the next 3 years and then losing them all to Utah, essentially. It's crazy. Utah's going to be good as long as they do it differently than how Morello was doing it. They're going to be great for a long time.
They definitely will. I mean, look at the situation that they're going into. They have, number one, an ownership group that cares, which honestly, that's all you really need. That's what you need to start with. Number two, they have an arena. It's not really like the best arena. Let's be honest. They only have like 20,000 seats or something. It's below what NHL standard is, but hey, it's not a college barn, so I don't think we can nitpick. And number three, they have a tremendous amount of prospects, tremendous amount of picks, and they have players that, to be honest, I was kind of thinking that some players would say, screw this, I'm not going to Utah, I'm out of here. No one's really done that. I think everyone is pretty excited to be going over to a new location and really bringing hockey to a new group of fans. And I mean, we all saw that press conference, the introductory press conference with all the players, coaching staff, and the owners. And I mean, that crowd was bumping, dude. That's a crowd that is excited to watch NHL hockey. And that just goes to show that Utah was a good location to pick if they were going to go anywhere. I think it's going to be pretty successful.
I agree with you fully. Yeah, I think it was great that the fans embraced the players embraced the fans. I thought it was a fantastic way to showcase that Utah is ready for hockey. So good for them, honestly. From here, we're going to go ahead and jump into some playoff notes. And Derek gave us some pretty great notes here where Washington blew it 4-0. Yeah, they didn't win a single game. Matt, I'm sorry, I have to say it. Islanders blew it 4-1. Derek says totally not fine. Sorry, Matt and Roy. Or Wah, sorry.
Totally fine. I went and someone would say that. I went and looked up our playoff brackets, and I had the Islanders winning, and I looked at that yesterday, and I was just like, what the hell was I thinking? Like, come on, that was never going to happen. It's a miracle they won a game.
Jets are frauds. They lose 4-1 to the Colorado Avalanche, and then Florida is making Derek rethink his entire bracket 4-1. And then McJesus 4-1, and then like Matt said, the Leafs blew it.
Okay.
Well, I mean, Boston technically almost blew it too, being the first team in sports franchise everywhere history, I guess, having a 3-1 lead in a series and losing it in back-to-back years. Which I don't know what would be worse. The Leafs not making it to a conference final again for however many years it's been, or Boston pulling that off.
You don't know how badly I wanted that to happen for Boston.
I know you did.
You know how it
works.
You know how insufferable I've been on Twitter. You could not imagine. I mean, Elon Musk would have to kick me off the app and give me no chance of getting back on. That would have
Elon,
been.
if you're watching and listening,
don't do it yet. I still have a lot more shit to
talk.
talk. Smack to talk. Excuse me,
Derek. Which one, in your opinion, would be worse?
I mean, if we just all remember what's happened the last 3 times now, the last 2 times before yesterday's game between Boston and Toronto in the playoffs. 2013, Boston goes up 3-1. Toronto comes back, ties it 3-3. Toronto losing game 7. 2018, Boston goes up 3-1. Toronto comes back 3-3, loses it in game 7. What happens in 2024? Exact same goddamn thing. And anyone surprised? Nope. I want $50 because I said, you know what? I know Boston's gonna win. Boop.
It makes it really hard to argue against the fact that the NHL is scripted. Because this is just, I mean, that follows the script to an absolute T, right? The Toronto Maple Leafs coming back the last 2 games, the fans get false hope, exactly like we all said it was going to happen. And what happens? They lose in overtime, game 7. Again.
It just makes me so happy.
So which scenario is worse? Losing like that or the Boston scenario? I mean,
oh man, I mean,
probably the Boston scenario, right?
Because I would have
you
to
could
say
just
that
strip them forever. I mean, we already know, and we do this forever until the Leafs. You know, we tripped them even last year. Like, congratulations, you made it to the second round in the last 15 years. What are you gonna do now? Oh, you're out. Okay, so
Out.
Back-to-back 3-1 losses like that. That's hard to overcome. I remember, I mean, back like when the Golden State Warriors blew 3-1 leads. Like it was like 5 straight years of people making the jokes on Twitter, and yeah, that would have been twice as bad for the Bruins. So yeah, I don't think I'd ever want that. I don't really want to wish that on any fan base, but it would be appropriate for Boston. But yeah, that would be really bad.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, the Leafs just have to be used to it. Boston, after last year having a record-breaking season and then getting kicked out by the Panthers in the first round, yeah, it would be horrific to see that 2 years in a row. I feel like there's stars from last year still.
And then you still have the Knights versus the Stars, where the series is tied 3-3. Derek in his heart wants the Knights to win, but for playoff bracket states, he needs the Stars to win. I don't know why you would do that to yourself, but I did the exact same thing. So I took the Stars. I really think that the Stars can pull it off.
I really don't want them to, though. It's really awkward.
I don't either, only because of Jamie Benn. We all know why. Multiple reasons why. But there's that game still tonight, which is at 7:30 p.m. But round 2 also begins tonight when you have the Hurricanes and the Rangers playing at 4 p.m. tonight. We are recording on Sunday. It is 12:20 p.m. right now currently. Who do you guys have in that series? I picked the Canes. Canes all the way. I picked them to be the champion. So
yeah, I think it's gonna be a very tough series, honestly. I haven't seen the betting odds for it, but it almost seems like this is going to be a pick 'em. Like, honestly, both these teams, you could argue they're Stanley Cup favorites, definitely. Yeah. I think I'd have to give the edge to the Rangers personally. I don't know, that team is just firing on all cylinders. I mean, we saw what they did against Washington, made a quick work of them. I'm honestly surprised that we're sitting here and we even remember that Washington was in the playoffs. They literally didn't even show up. But yeah, they pretty much had a first round bye, but so are the Hurricanes against my Islanders. So, you know, both these teams have had plenty of rest. They have not been tested that much. So I think I'm going to have to go Rangers in 7.
Oh, Rangers in 7. Man, if Carolina brings the defense that I've known them to have for the whole season, I want to say like for the playoffs too, but at the same time, sorry, Matt, they played the Islanders, so there wasn't much defense to have. But
this is true.
But if they actually play like that, I think the Rangers might get shut down because, I mean, their offensive core is strong. But if they can stop Panarin, Zibanejad, and Kreider, like all those guys, like, cool. They're not going to score any goals. I mean, Rempe might come out there and beat the crap out of a couple people, but, I don't know. He got a goal last series, so he might get another one.
It could.
Someone might have to step up and take him down. I don't know who that's going to be for Carolina. I wouldn't want him to be me, so.
Brent Burns.
Oh, yeah. That'd be fun.
That would be pretty cool.
It would be cool.
I think that's
what's Brent Burns got to lose? His only tooth that he's got left?
Right.
He's actually hoping to lose that tooth.
Yeah, he probably is.
He probably is.
Sure,
Wants to get some dentures.
For losing all your teeth.
All right, boys, let's go ahead and jump into the Red Wings tier list. We weren't exactly sure how long this was going to take, so we're just going to start with the defensemen and the goalies today. Derek, if you don't mind scrolling down, I'll just go ahead and let you pick one, but this is going to be ranked from S to F, F being failure, S being super fantastic. We'll call it that. But Derek, go ahead and pick the first goalie or defenseman that you see on there.
Well, I love that I'm great with faces here, but I know right here we got good old Ben Sherratt.
Benny boy, the overnight assassin.
Yep, number 2, right behind the cat here.
All right, well, Ben Sherratt, honestly, for me, I kind of want to give him a B. I think he overexceeded my expectations, which was not to be a pylon and injuring players like Lucas Raymond like he did all of last season. He did a lot better this season. Last season, he was a -31. I know plus minus isn't really like a huge factor, but he this season, he turned around and became a -4. He got 5 goals, 15 assists for 20 points, beat his high last year, which was 19 points. It's the second time he's gotten 20 points in a season in 77 games. 56 penalty minutes and times when it mattered. Sometimes it wasn't, but he exceeded my expectations. I'm giving him a B. What do you guys think?
I mean, I couldn't be more upset than what last season with him, as we already know that if you watch any earlier episodes of us, I would just take a big old turd half the time on Sherratt. But he did a lot better this season. My expectations were godly low, though, so I'd probably rank him at if I can give a plus in there, I'd say a C+. But since I can't, I'm going to go with a solid C then. He did a lot better than expected. Not great, but I'm happy with his performance enough.
Yeah, I think I'm going to come in with you, Zach. Honestly, I think this was a big bounce back season for him. I mean, obviously he's not playing at the level of what they're paying him for, but I don't think for the rest of the 2 years on his contract, he's going to even sniff that. So I think this is about what you can expect for him. -4 on the season, like obviously that's a team stat, but seeing the way our entire D corps played being -4 is actually a little surprising. It's actually pretty good.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'd stick him up there at B.
All right, Derek, slap him in the B.
Slap him in that B, baby.
A B on the season. I like it.
Yeah,
Wow.
I think he's just a serviceable bottom 4 defenseman, and we've got him for 2 more years. If he can just be that for the next 2 years, great.
Yeah.
And I should have for all the ads because I have no control.
It's okay. But I should have said this before we started. So the rules are you had to have played a minimum of half the season to be on here. So that means no Berggren, no Edvinsson, no Austin Zarnik or players like those that we're utilizing. So Derek, I believe it's 22 total that we have, correct?
Correct.
Okay. We are utilizing all the goalies though. So that's because it's obviously they're not going to play more games than anyone else.
Yeah, we're doing that because we're making the rules. So don't complain about it.
All
also,
right,
when
Derek.
you see Hall in there, don't be mad at us. We have to throw him in there. Just shut up.
All right, Derek, why don't you go ahead and pick, I believe that's Ghost Bear at the top middle right there.
That is Ghost Bear, baby, right here for us.
Matt, we'll start from the bottom up this time. You spin your take, Derek goes second, and I'll go last.
Yeah. All right. I mean, I like Gostis Bear this year. He definitely fills the role that I think the team has been lacking, which is a true number 1 power play quarterback. We had Sider doing that for the past few years, and he obviously can do it, but he doesn't really thrive doing it. And honestly, for like pretty much his whole career, that's what Gostisbehere's been. You bring him in, if your power play is lacking, he's going to be back there quarterbacking it and just kind of driving play from the blue line. I'm inclining to give him an A, really just based off like the last 5 games this season, like that keeping right there at the end to save that game against Montreal Canadiens. They may be worth an A on itself, honestly. I might have to bump him up a whole letter grade from B to A. But yeah, he's been good. Obviously, he is what he is. He doesn't really play great defense, but I think you can overcome that if you just understand that's what he does and you compare him with a reliable defenseman, like maybe like an Oli Mata, like a guy who's like not gonna like be too flashy, but he's gonna be responsible. 56 points this year. I can't remember last time a defenseman on the Red Wings scored 56 points. Not name is Mo Seider done it? I don't think Mo Seider's even scored 56 points. He got close to it, but he hasn't done it. So I haven't really looked at this recently, but you may have to go all the way back to Lidstrom putting up that type of points, like maybe Mike Green. So yeah, I'm going to put him up in A. I did really like his game, and obviously he's UFA right now. I would definitely like to bring him back. I know we're not really doing that this video, but yeah, I think he's a really solid player, definitely a dynamic offensive defenseman that we've been missing, and I'm okay with having him here until we get a guy like ASP or anyone down in Grand Rapids to come up and take his spot. So yeah, I'll put him at A.
I respect that. Because actually, I feel the same exact way, man, honestly. Because with Ghost Bear, you get what you get at this point. He's a very offensive defenseman. Like, his defensive area is not what attracts people to him. It's what he can do on the offensive side, and he can produce points. He can help in plays. He can take a mean-ass slap shot. He can jump 3 feet up in the air and stop a puck from going out. It's great. A little bit of defense in there. So, I mean, you pretty much said it all, man, that I was thinking, and if I could give anything higher, I probably would, but I think A is exactly where I would put him right now, too.
Yeah, I'm going to go with you guys. I'm going to go with an A just on the fact alone that this is the most points that he's put up in a season since 27-18 when he put up 65 with the Flyers. So, yeah, same with you guys on the defensive side. He's a power play quarterback. I think that there was opportunities where he kind of disappeared a little bit, but sometimes that's not a bad thing because there are days where he has to play defense and not be on the offensive side. So I think A is a good spot for him. He did really good for a player signed on a 1-year deal. So couldn't have asked more.
There definitely was some spots where he disappeared, but let's be honest, the whole team did that. So yeah, I don't think we can really single him out for that.
No,
I mean, we had months in there that we all disappeared, so it's okay.
Yeah.
All right, Derek, who do we got next? Do we want to mix it up? Maybe do a goalie? Do I see a goalie on there?
We could do like let's do a goalie because the next person I don't want to talk about yet. So let's do Ville Husso.
Honestly, just to start off and be quick about it, it's a D or an F for me. Honestly,
quick.
I mean, I just don't have any good memorable games of Ville Husso this season. I really don't. I think the whole season, the time that he did play, he struggled. And then the injuries did not help. So to be nice, I'm giving him a D then. If not, then it's an absolute failure, I believe, in my opinion.
I mean, what can you really say? What was he, 9-5-4 or something with his record, but his goals against were over 3 and his save percentage was just like at 8.9. It wasn't pretty. The only reason we got the wins on those is because the Red Wings were producing way above what they were expected to on their goals.
Yeah.
Like when it's a 5-4, 6-5 game, it's like, well, thank God we won, but what's going on in the goalie situation when you let 5 goals in on 23 shots? It's like, not good.
Yeah.
I mean, I was literally thinking like a CB area at the first, just because I was like, he's been injured. He had a kid. He was out for a while. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I remember the beginning of the season when the Red Wings were just offensively beautiful right off the get-go. And I can't even remember a great save he made. So I'll stick with a D on that one.
Yeah, I am not going to be as nice as you boys. I'm going to put him all the way down at an F. It's hard to really like single out any three of our goalies for their performances. Just like the entire season, the defense did not play well at all. But I mean, Husso, I think people forgot how terribly he played just because it was so long ago. I mean, he didn't even play one game in the calendar year of 2024. And that's disappointing. I mean, I get it. Like, injuries suck and it happens. And there's always players that are going to have injury troubles. But I mean, we were coming into this season talking about, yeah, we'll have Husso. He can play like anywhere from like 35 to 40 games. And then we'll just rotate the other two goalies. And maybe they'll have a good tandem. And that absolutely did not happen at all. It felt like, well, it didn't feel like it actually was like this, that Lyon was thrust into a starter role, which none of us were expecting. He for sure was not expecting it. He did the best that he could. I know I'm jumping ahead with Lyon, but he did the best that he could. And of course, Reimer was Reimer. So, and all that kind of happened because Husso just was not available. And what's the best ability? Availability. And he was not available. And also when he was, he stunk. So F.
Yeah.
And not to mention, we're talking about either trading him this offseason or putting him on LTIR. I mean, he's injured himself 3 different times. That does not inspire me with confidence that he's going to be the starter next season. Like, he may not be on the roster.
And at a $4.45 million cap hit, and you're not playing,
it's rough.
We're trying to put cap hits aside and go based on what the season did for these players, but yeah, no, that's okay, Derek. But I mean, it's true, right? Though. And what Matt said, LTIR or possibly trade, those are true statements too. I mean, yeah, a lot of fans aren't happy with the Husso situation, and that's not really Husso's fault, so it's just unfortunate circumstance. But well, if Matt said F, I originally said F too. I feel like it's an F, and that's really, I feel like it's harsh too, and that's not to say that I hate Ville Husso, but because of, the way he ended 22-23 season, and then this season, yeah, F.
Oh, I'm sorry, Billy. I tried to give it to you. I was hoping for the D.
It's nothing against him. Like, I wish the best for him. Like, I really hope that he can overcome whatever issues he has and he can really bounce back. I mean, it can happen. It's happened before, but just based off what we've seen this season, it does not fill me with confidence. Let's say that.
Correct. Yeah, and that's also a good point, Matt. Is like the outlook for next season. Even if we don't LTIR him or trade him, can we trust him to be a 900 goaltender? I don't think so.
No.
I mean, he had a small sample size this year for us to look at, and it wasn't the best. So,
if
you add like 3 times as many games, is it going to get better? I don't know.
All right, Derek, let's do the defenseman you don't want to do.
Oh, you mean this man right here, Mr. Hall himself?
I'll go first because I'm going to do the opposite opinion of what you guys probably have.
Oh, okay. Go for it.
At the beginning of the season, he was really good for us. Okay. And then all of a sudden, maybe there were some mistakes made, and then he just all of a sudden became the 7th or 8th defenseman at certain times. Right. And so to me, I felt like, I don't want to say that he was treated unfairly, but I felt like we didn't utilize him properly. There's a reason why we signed him to that contract, 3 by 3.2 or 4, whatever it is. I really don't think he's as bad as people think he is. I feel like being a 6th defenseman is more than fine for Justin Hall, whether if that's with this team or not. With his playing sample size, it's just weird. I have to give him a D. It's not an F for me. Like, there were times he was bad, but remember, at the beginning of the season, I remember him leading the league in plus minus. And I know that doesn't mean a lot, but at one point in time, he was doing very good for us. So, a D.
I mean
maybe a C. I'm going to go C. C. Because it's average, right? Like, I didn't really have high expectations for him. I didn't have low expectations. I just thought he was going to be there. And so he was. just mostly up in the press box.
he was there for the team. I mean, I felt like there is something weird going on because, I mean, he wasn't a bad player for Toronto, and Toronto just said, screw it, let him go. And I was like, why? What's going on with that? Then he came over with it. And Zach, you're right. He did start playing well. He had a good season. I'm not sure what happened. Again, we're in the offseason at this point, and we're trying to think back 45, 50 games ago. But there had to be small mistakes in there that just kind of led him down this path. Like, I'm pretty sure he ended with a plus 10 or something like that. 5 assists in 38 games. I mean, point-wise, not great, but defensive-wise, you would say not atrocious. So I would say, like you, Zach, that's pretty average for what you would want to see for, I guess, a defense. Maybe a little worse, but I'll give him, at this point, I guess I would rank him a C.
It's average.
Between a C and a D. Yeah, like a D plus, C minus. Like, he didn't do anything spectacular. He didn't show off anything. He was just kind of there. And then he wasn't. You didn't really notice him out of the lineup that much.
And I know I said that we were only doing players that played half the season. He only played 38 games, but we're letting this one slide because he was with the team the full entire season. So, but Matt.
I mean, is there an option to just not even rank him? Because it's like, what is there to really even go off of? Like, I mean, when he played, like, I can't ever say he was really good at any point. He was just kind of serviceable. He was just there. And I guess, like, for the type of defenseman that he is, if you don't really hear his name, that's actually a good thing. You would have thought that last year when he was on Toronto, like, I mean, the Toronto fans are making him out to be like how we talk about Jeff Petrie, like he was like the one single-handedly losing games. And, you know, when I go back and think about what he was doing, I don't know if he ever really had like any bad giveaways or bad turnovers. Like, it seemed like Petrie did that all season. And I don't think Hall really did that. I just, like, the whole time he was on the ice, I didn't really notice him. And I guess that is a good thing. So I'll put him at C. I guess he was average. And I don't know, just like the whole signing just did not even need to happen. It never needed to happen. Even with Yzerman trading for Petrie, like it just didn't make sense. I think we all knew that when he got signed, we were all kind of like, well, why? Why are you doing this? And my opinion has not changed sitting here. I still don't know why he's on the roster. So I'll put him at C. Whatever.
LOL at Derek for clicking out of the ad, and the ad still stays there. Well, different one.
My little frustration there. I'm like, oh, cool. That did nothing. Thanks for the exit button.
All right, scroll down a little bit for us, buddy. Let's see. Derek, I'll let you pick. Who do you want to do next?
All right. Well, we had a few there. Well, if we take a peek at this, we are pretty much filling up every category right now. So
doing a good job at that.
We're all over the board.
Yeah, that's unfortunate, actually. So let's go. We have 3D1 goalie. Let's go with our starter goalie for the year, Alex Lyon.
Honestly, I feel like it goes without saying. I don't want to go too in depth about it, but Alex Lyon, he brought in as the third string goalie. Let's be real. He got paid less than what Reimer got paid. I believe it's on a 2-way contract. If I'm mistaken, I could be wrong.
No, I think it's only one way, but it's a 2-year deal. Yeah.
Okay, for sure. Yeah, 2-year deal, minimum contract, right? Very cheap. Third string goalie. And let's see here, pulling up his stats right here. 44 starts, games played, 3.05 goals against, 904 save percentage, 21 wins, 18 losses, 5 ties, 2 shutouts. If we didn't have him, and if it was just Husso and Reimer, we wouldn't have made it as far as we did, in my personal opinion. So
we'd be talking Celebrini.
Yeah, I'm putting him in S.
Ooh, wow.
Ooh, okay. Although there were a couple games that he looked lost, he wasn't on his head, but I felt like he was being overutilized. I mean, 44 games, that's a lot for someone who never played more than 20 or 15 in a regular season, right? So, yeah, I'm gonna rank him S.
I mean, I'll give you that, Zach, because when did he get his first start in goddamn Sweden? And what was that, October, November?
It took a month, I believe.
Yeah.
Like, he wasn't even expected. I honestly, after I saw Reimer in a second, I was like, wow, that's underutilization of a goalie that got a team to the playoffs last year who's not going to play. And then finally, it's like, oh, who's just having a baby? We get to see Lion a little. That's nice. Amazing. He came out. He did exactly what he did last year. He literally just jumped back into it after, what was that, 6 months? Jesus. Like, he did well. But Zach, you're right. We overutilized the poor man. Like, when you play him 6-7 games in a row, like, I know our next best option was Reimer. But God, don't be that mean to the poor kid. Like, as I say, kid, he's 31 years old, but
Yeah.
like, that's just something like we did this. Like, we know what happens when the Red Wings overutilize a goalie. We saw it with Husso last year. Why would we try to do that again? Like, I understand I mean, if I was the Red Wings, I'd be terrified with Reimer in net too. I get that. And Lion, he has the numbers in some games that skyrocket him through the roof as looking like some of the best goalies in the league. And then there's other games after like 4 he played that he just drops down. It's like, well, no kidding. That's not what a goalie in the NHL is supposed to do. If you give a top tier goalie like 45, 50 games a year, that's perfect. That's why we see Domingo up there with like a .93 save percenter or some stupid like that. Besides the fact he hasn't really played in the playoffs, but you know. But man, when his lows were lows, that's what hurt me. I would say a solid A for Lion. He was over expectation for me. So I'd still give him, man, why can't I give pluses and minuses? A plus. So I'm still going to have to stick with an A.
That's fine. What about you, Matt?
Man, I just remember back in like November after like a month into the season, and obviously the Red Wings looked really good to start the season, but they were winning games like 5-4, 6-5, whatever it was. And I for sure was watching the goaltending just being like, okay, we've seen what Reimer can do. Husso obviously is not starting the season strong. When can we see Lion? And when we finally saw him, it was like a revelation. I was like, thank the heavens, we have a goalie on the roster who actually looks half like a starting caliber goalie. And yeah, he played 44 games. That's obviously way more than he should have played. I think he would even agree with that. I don't think anyone was expecting him to literally take over the starting role. And I'll say he did the best that he could possibly do. He really did. I think he was a pleasant surprise. He was kind of like a wild card when we signed him. We were like, oh, okay, he's going to be the third string goalie. Obviously, we saw what he did in Florida. He had that massive hot streak to even get him into playoffs. And yeah, I definitely liked what I saw from him. I mean, were there games that he let in a few soft goals and the Red Wings got in a hole? Yes, but that's more on the defense. Were there games that he literally stole for the Red Wings that they had no business winning? Also, yes. So I'd have to stick him up there at A. I really liked what I saw from him. However, that being said, I am not confident rolling into next season with him as a starter. He's clearly not a starting caliber goalie. He's a guy that will come in and he should come in like once every 5 games and just have a great performance, win the game, and that's it. He should not be getting 3, 4, 5 starts in a row. That you could clearly see down the stretch that he was burnt out, and the Red Wings had to play from behind. Again, that's not all on him, but he did let in some soft goals for the season. But yeah, I'm gonna put him an A. I overall, there's more positives than negatives. I really like what I saw.
Slap him up there an A. I'm okay with giving him an A. Yeah, I just thought, he way above expectation, but you're right.
Yeah.
You were right with that, Matt. Yeah, he was above. Derek said the same thing too. So good job. Honestly,
Yeah.
Alex Lyon. Yeah, I thought that there was going to be a position for him to get more starts than a third string would, but not quite like that. That was immaculate.
I'm just happy to see that he will be back next year. And
Yeah.
I'm not upset with that. That's one of the deals. I'm cool.
I for sure am happy he's going to be back. Yeah. He's currently the only goalie that I am looking at and be like, yes, I want to see you play hockey. That is definitely not Husso. I mean, Reimer's not going to be back. He's UFA. But yeah, he's the only one that I look at and see like, yeah, I want to see more from you. I'm okay with you being in that.
All right, Derek. Go ahead and pick another defenseman. I'm looking at Ole Mata right there.
Ole Mata is the next one up. Well, let's hit him. Not literally.
Ole Mata, I mean, plus 14 on the plus minus, 18 points, 72 games. He's a very, very good stay-at-home defenseman. Dipped under his point total a little bit versus last season, but usually around this mark is what he gets. Not really too crazy stuff. Not really any bad stuff from Mata either. B? Didn't really, maybe a C. I guess a C because he was there. He was average. He did his job. Didn't do better. Didn't do worse. So I guess a C.
I think my standards for defensemen have dropped quite a bit this year, especially after watching Detroit. So
They have to if you're going to watch this team.
Yeah, and the fact that being average, not getting your name called out on TV all the time for a defenseman ends up being a good thing for you. I didn't hear him that much. And when I did, it was actually occasionally he had a good pass. He actually rushed the forwards and actually was up in the play a little bit. Like, I understand he likes to play an offensive defensive role sometimes, but he really isn't that kind of a player.
Yeah.
So he needs to stop jumping as much into the play and leaving, say, something like Petrie in the back by himself. But sometimes it worked. And I can't argue that. Like, I'd say more times than not, it worked for him. And he was good at keeping the puck in, good at stopping people getting from down in the offensive zone. He did his job. I'll give him a B right now because, like I said, my defensive world is kind of skewed after watching this season. So I like a B.
Yeah, I'm going to say pretty much all the same things I said about Hall, also about Mata. But Mata, to me, like, obviously he played a lot more. I think the team is more confident in his abilities. And, yeah, I didn't hear his name too much. That's definitely a good thing. There weren't really, like, any moments that stand out, like, poorly from him. I didn't see many, like, defensive breakdowns or giveaways. There actually were some moments that he did stand out. I remember there was a game. I don't remember what particular game it was, but there was a game where he had, I think it was like 2 huge goals. So, yeah, he definitely, I think he played this season above what is expected. Not like far above it, but like slightly above it. And I do like him. I think he fits the role that he plays very well.
Oh, yeah.
And I'll slap him up there in B. There's no complaints from me about Mata. I'm not expecting him to be anything more than what he is. And I mean, this is the most I've talked about Mata all season. I'm not even going to lie. But no, I do like him. I'm okay with him. What's he got? 1 more year? He's here next season. Yeah. Next season, just be a bottom 4 guy. Maybe he plays with Albert Johansson, maybe a little bit of Edmondson, kind of shows him the ropes. That's all we really need from him.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, honestly. I think you guys hit some pretty good points there. That's why I didn't really say too much. I was like, yeah, he was there. He did his job, and that's all we could ask of him. So, yeah, if any team wants him in a trade, he's very good reliably defensively. So give us like a 3rd or something for him. We'll take it. Who do you got next, Derek? You got the man with the mustache?
The man with the mustache?
Yeah, Father Petrie.
You're down out here?
Yeah, Father Petrie.
Granddad Petrie. He is the next one in our list of defensemen here. Let's see how this one goes. Like, I feel like we're going to get some mixed reviews on this one.
It's just unfortunate because I said the rules are you can't use the contracts into play. And like, if I could use that as leverage, his grade would be higher. But I guess the next best thing I can go off is age. I mean, he's old. Like, he's 36 years old. He's going to be 37 at the end of this year in December. Point total dipped down a little bit versus last season. -7. But I don't know how I can defend Jeff Petrie. There were a lot of times where I was just like, God damn it, Petrie, what are you
We were
doing?
not nice to Jeff Petrie through the years, so
No.
it's kind of hard. Like, there's what, like
Yeah.
2 redeeming moments at the end of the season that made
I
us
will-
happy.
Are there even 2?
I know there's one.
For sure, there's one. Yeah.
Jeff Petrie for sure is the 6th or 7th defenseman on most teams. And at times he was playing in the second, pairing of the defense. So, and it just was never good. But yeah, his point total, I just had it. I don't know why I put it away. 73 games, 3 goals, 21 assists, 24 points. I thought he got more goals than that. I guess not. A D, because it wasn't all bad. It was only bad towards the end of the season. I feel like once 2024 hit, that's when we really started going for his head at the beginning of the year. Maybe it started in December when all the injuries happened or something, but the whole season, it wasn't all bad. So he was serviceable still. He got us points on the board sometimes, assisted in some points sometimes. So I'm going to go D. I'm not going to go full F, I don't think. But I'll follow you guys if you both say F. I won't be upset.
Honestly, the only reason I will give him a D is because he saved that goal against Tampa. And that is the only reason that we made it as far as we did.
You're not wrong. So, okay.
So
That is a good point.
Everything else is a mute point of this. I've ripped into Petrie so much through the entire season. So at this point, everyone knows my entire thought process on him. So they're probably thinking that a D is a little nicer than I should give him. But that Tampa goal made me happy. So you know what? I was like, Petrie, you can have a D. Everything else about you is probably an F, but I can get D right now.
Man, I mean, just like the two of you, I definitely ripped on him throughout the season. It's really not his fault that he was playing so high in the lineup. That was really more just coaching. Like, he never should have been anywhere near anything above a bottom pair just for what he is. I feel so mean to say anything like not nice, like just flame him, because it feels like elder abuse. Like, yeah, he reminds me a lot of like late stage DeKaiser. Like, he can't skate anymore. That dude looks like he brought ice skates to a beach. Like, he skates through sand. It's really hard to watch. And yeah, I guess he chipped in a little bit offensively. Had a big goal against Pittsburgh at the end of the season. But it was below what we were expecting from him. Like, last season, he actually scored, I think, like 10 or something points higher. And I think that's kind of what we were expecting a little bit. I don't know. I guess for Gostisbehere, I put him a tier higher because of like one great play, and yeah, that was a great play there in Tampa to keep the puck out of the net. So I guess I'll stick him in D. I was thinking F. Honestly, before you guys even talk, like you're lucky I didn't go first, because I was going to put him in the Petrie tier. If there was a tier below F, it would be the Petrie tier, but I guess I'll put him in D just to be nice. Like, he is old. I get it. Like, next season should be his last season. And honestly, if he wants to retire this offseason, you go right ahead. You have my blessing, my friend. But yeah, we'll stick him in D.
The Red Wings would be happy with that. Let's be honest. That clears up some cap space.
Well, maybe Yzerman just needs to go to the Petrie household with a crowbar and just LTIR him. I don't know. It's got to do something.
Vegas way. What are we talking about here? Come on. Go for the spleen.
All right, Derek, who's next? Who do we got?
Let's see. We just got done with Jeff Petrie going through the line. Ooh, looks like we have good old Reimer, our last goalie.
Okay. Jamie
Honestly,
Reimer.
let's have Matt go first, because I'm a little upset we didn't have him go first for Petrie now.
Oh, yeah, I guess you're right. Yeah, Matt, you can go ahead with Reimer.
Yeah, well, Reimer, like, he was up and down all season, and his highs were not too high, but his lows were very, very, very low. Just the most baffling goalie I've ever seen in my entire life. Like, there will be games where I think of like the Toronto game that sticks out to me the most, where he will just like, he'll stop like the craziest shots and then just let in the softest goals because the dude will be like 2 feet out of his crease and he'll be facing backwards. Like it made no sense. There is no point in any game where a goalie should be facing backwards in the net, not looking at the play. I think of the moment in Ottawa too, in Sweden, where he literally ducked under the puck. My guy, you're wearing a helmet. You're wearing a helmet for a reason. Just have that smack you in the face instead of ducking under the puck. But I don't know. Like there wasn't much to expect from Reimer this season. If you were expecting anything from Reimer, you were just kind of fooling yourself. And thank God it was on a 1-year deal. There were moments he looked good, but overall he just. I'm going to say the same thing about Petrie. He's just old. I don't think he should be playing past this season. If he retires this offseason, I would not be surprised. I'll stick him in D. There's really not much else you can really say about Reimer. Yeah, I don't know. There's moments in the season where he was literally unplayable. Like he was pretty much the reason the line played so many games because Husso was just dead, and the only other option is Reimer, and you can't play Reimer because the game before he faced backwards for 3 goals, and you can't play him again. So I got to put him in D. He didn't really do anything for us.
You know what, Matt? I'm gonna go against you. I'm gonna put him. If I had to choose, I would put him in B, only because I feel like that he went above expectations. Yes, the goals against might not look good, but goal scoring has been up. He posted a .311 and a .904 save percentage. 11 wins, 8 losses, 2 ties, 2 shutouts. James Reimer. I mean, yeah, this guy's age too. I mean, look at that. For someone to do that as a backup in 25 starts, I think that's pretty good, honestly. I don't think that I thought it was going to be worse. I wasn't happy with the signing. I don't think a lot of people were happy with the signing. So,
I think we understood it. Like we knew what the market was last season, and we said you got to do something. And Reimer was something.
Yeah. But I felt like that there were better options out there, right? And so, but for me, yeah, I just feel like Reimer went above the expectations for me personally. So that's why I'm giving him a B. I thought that there were great moments. Obviously, there were a lot of bad moments too, right? Where he looks like he's doing the Russian ab twist out there, or he's swimming, or everything that you said too, Matt. But towards the end of the season, and there were plenty of times where we needed him, and he performed. So, yeah, I personally want to give him a B.
That's very highly of you, Zach, because I am nowhere.
Damn. Okay.
I'm literally just going through the flashbacks of every.
Join me on the dark side.
Him just literally being a freaking fish through the net, literally, as Matt would say, spinning backwards through the net. Somehow the puck goes through his 5-hole, but because he's spinning so much, it shoots out the other side. There should be a goal, but for some reason he somehow saves it. It's like, I'm sorry, I don't want that heart attack every 5 seconds in a game. Like, Jesus Christ. And like, we're going into what you said, Zach, his age, like, I could see it out there for days, especially with his reaction time. Unless you're shooting it at, like say McKinnon, McDavid, someone's coming down the ice, anyone who has a good shot and they can pick a place to shoot it, unless they're off by a small margin and actually shoot it at his glove, at his pad,
high danger.
He's not going to react fast enough to save it. I've seen it so many times this season. So many goals where he's just standing there like, shit.
Oh, yeah. There was literally one goal where he got scored on and did not move. The dude was a statue.
Like, oh God, it happens so much. It's like, you know why? Like, I understand. He's getting older. Your reaction time is not that fast, especially as a goalie where you're supposed to be excessively quick. We're going to notice it a lot more. But, there are certain points out there. I'm happy he made the saves. I'm happy he made the shutouts. I'm happy we got the wins where we did. My God, I just don't want the heart attacks anymore. Like, I'm 28 and I shouldn't be close to heart attacks. Like, we need to calm down with this. But I won't destroy him. Just because of how he actually pulled it off for us, even though it was horrific to watch. He got the wins, but it didn't make me happy. I'm not going to put him in the tier of Husso, but I'm more so in the D range right now with him because it just wasn't pretty the way he won games. And when he lost them, they were just atrocious.
Could you guys meet me in the middle and give him a C? Say that it was average. It wasn't worse than what you expected, but it wasn't overperforming.
I'm okay with that.
Okay.
Well, I mean, to be completely honest,
season, I'm out.
I expected nothing, and he did sometimes something. So yeah, I guess you could.
And sometimes nothing.
Sometimes nothing. Yeah, exactly. I mean, there were some moments where there's some moments where he's against a breakaway, and you're saying, "Well, there's no way Reimer saves this," and he saved it. And then there's other moments where the most nothing shot goes at him, and you're sitting there saying, "Wait, that went in." That's literally what his season was in a nutshell.
All right, Derek. Who do we got next? Are we going to do Wallman or Cider next?
It looks like it's Cider. We'll jump right into our glory boy.
You go first, Derek.
Oh, I get to go first?
Hey, you go first.
I've been the middle guy this whole time. This is so nice. Well, obviously, what do you say about our 23-year-old number 1D that had 200 plus hits, 200 plus block shots, played the worst minutes against the toughest lines in the entire NHL? Can I just put him at the S? Like, Steve, go pay him like $10 million. Keep him no matter what. I have nothing else to say. He's an S for me. Like, he outdid everything. Like, he was put in a role this year that I wasn't particularly happy about him being in because I know what he can do offensively too, but the Red Wings had no D. So the man had to do what he had to do. The team asked him to do something, and he produced exactly what the team wanted him to do. Was he perfect all year round? No. But what 23-year-old who's about to get off their entry-level contract is? From what I saw, he was perfect.
For me, he matched his season total from last year, 42 points, scored a little bit more, four more times than last year, 9 goals, 33 assists, brought his plus minus down a little bit, -7. Yeah, offensively, I would like to see a little bit more. I think the addition of Shane Gosberg probably took that away a little bit, not being able to quarterback that number 1 power play unit. Yeah, the 200 hits, the 200 block shots, Derek, plus, you know, those are huge for someone who's 23 and he's your number 1 defenseman, right? His deployment definitely was an issue playing against top talent throughout the whole entire league. This defense, I mean, there's a lot of glaring holes in this defense, right? But I don't think Mo Seider is one of them. I want to put him in S just because of how much I love him, but I feel like he didn't do anything super to be ranked in S, so I kind of just want to give him an A because I think he went above and beyond what I expected him to do, probably what most fans expected him to do, but I feel like that there was something missing there, right? Like I kind of expected a step up maybe in points, and maybe that's wrong of me to ask of that for Seider, someone who plays very well aggressively defensive game, right? I just kind of know that the offense is there, and maybe it's because we just really haven't found the right left-handed defenseman pair for him. I know he pairs with Jake Wallman, but we're going to talk about that next. I don't really believe it's Jake Wallman, so maybe that's part of it, but I'd be okay with putting him in S. Matt, what do you think?
Yeah, Mo Seider pretty much the entire season did everything that was asked of him. Like the guy just like 8 shots like it was like his cereal for breakfast. Like the dude literally would take shots off the leg that if I tried to block them, my entire leg bone would shatter and you have to amputate it. So, and he'd just get right back to the bench and just be like, okay, I'm good. Put me back out. I can block another one. And yeah, dude, he's a monster out there. And his offense for sure did struggle a bit, but I think that's just deployment. I don't think that's him, like his game suffering at all. I think, yeah, when he gets like an actual true number 1 left pairing defenseman, I think that's going to give him a little bit more creative opportunities to go out, and his offense will improve. Yeah, I'm putting him up there at S. Like, he was the most consistent defenseman night in and night out. The dude just does not make mistakes. Like, his game is so polished for a 23-year-old. And, you know, another thing about the offense, like that you were mentioning, Zach, like, he is still only 23 years old. Like, we always compare him to Victor Hedman. I think it took Victor Hedman like 4 or 5 seasons to get up to what he actually is now. So, I mean, the sky's the limit for Mo Seider. Steve, just paying the man, go out, get him help. I mean, maybe the help is already there. Maybe all he needs to play with Edvinsson, or I don't really know what the answer is. I think that probably, like, he wants to play with Edvinsson. I think the two of them, they'd have great chemistry. Like, and dude, like that pairing is like what, 13 feet tall combined. They get on their shoulders are 13 feet tall. So I would really like to see that next season. If I don't know if it would happen at the start of the season, but I could definitely see at some point next season they're playing together. And I think that's the answer right there.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, Matt. I don't believe it would be at the start of the season, but eventually down the line, it's going to happen eventually, right? I think it's just it's obviously not on Seider. I think it's just depending on how comfortable Edvinsson would look on there, right? You just give him a few looks and then all of a sudden just slap him in there full time. So, yeah. All right. So last but not least, it would be Jake Wallman, right?
You are correct, sir. You got Jake Wallman right over here sitting by our good old bald friend, Daniel Sprung.
That's Phil Delano, bro. Jake Wallman's the last.
Oh, there he is.
They kind of
look so similar right here. I can't help it.
I guess, yeah, somewhat similar, Derek. Jesus,
one's a little thicker than the other. I'm sorry.
Does anyone want to volunteer to go first? Because I'm the pessimist on Jake Wallman here.
Ooh, I like a pessimist though. You go first then. You can't tell me somebody and not do it.
Like I like Jake Wallman. I like what he brings, like the goal celebration, the goals in general. Like, he was our highest scoring defenseman in terms of goals for the season at 21 points in 63 games. It believed that this is the most that he's ever gotten in a season. Yeah, in the NHL. Yeah, so 21 points in 63 games. Last season, he put up 18 points in 63 games. He was a -2. Okay, not a big deal. Whatever. But there were a lot of times where I wanted to rip his head off because he wasn't doing well on the PK. Every time it seemed like when the team was scoring backdoor on us, he was the defenseman that was supposed to be there and stop that from happening. I felt like he definitely could have provided more offensively too. I feel like he should be getting closer to 30 points. Obviously, he missed time. I don't know what happened towards the end of the season. We missed him a lot of times. At one point, the Red Wings were undefeated with him out of the lineup. I don't know if that's Jake Wallman or if that's the team having to play a little bit better because Jake Wallman's not in. But for me, I'm going to talk about the contract. I love the contract. I love Jake Wallman. However, I also see a reality where come the time that he is looking for a contract renewal, it just screams Philip Hronek all over again. He's going to want term. He's going to want money. He's going to get paid, right? We're using him as a top pairing defenseman. I don't think a team will pay him an 8x8, but he'll probably want north of $5 million. I don't particularly want to do that, to be honest. Unless next season he steps it up. But for this season, a C, honestly. Yeah, he outperformed, I guess, in stats, but I didn't see really too much improvement from him, honestly. He didn't really go far and above other than that, personally, for me. So,
honestly, Zach, I thought you were going to rate him a lot lower than that the way you were talking. So that's not bad. I mean, you're right, though. He had some really great highs, but he had some ungodly lows out there where he just disappeared for games and games, or like you don't hear his name, you don't see him out there. The only time you saw him was because he got beat by somebody. It's just like, well, I think it's more so the consistency is what I was looking for from him. Like, if you find the middle range between what he was doing, like at his great highs and his middle lows, like that's just an average defenseman at that point, which is not a bad thing, but you're not gonna pay top dollar for it or anything like that. He made it entertaining. That's one thing I can say for the year, which for some reason goes into my grading him, just because I like to see him do the fucking gritty, which was hilarious. Sorry, children out there. I try and keep my mouth under tone today, but it is what it is. Ah, man, I'm trying to think of what I would grade him right now, though, because obviously I don't really think he's a top pairing defenseman. Someone with Seider, I don't want to see him there next year. For some reason, I would love to see Edmondson right next to Seider next year. After these 14 games we had with Edmondson last end of the season, he looks better than most of our D anyway. So I'm like, why not toss him up there? Literally two giants next to each other, racking it out. But I do see him like more so as a second pairing D, a good second pairing D. And as long as he gets his PK up and actually, or PK, and he was on power play too. So either or, he starts producing a little bit more on both sides, because I feel like we've got him as that offensive defenseman that can produce a lot, but also can go two ways. But we haven't seen enough of that, not consistently. So, God, I'm going back and forth again. I keep saying one thing, I'm going back to the other. I'll give him a B. That's the one thing. That's the first one that popped up in my head. I was happy with his performance for the year. I'll say that.
Man, Jake Wallman to me is he is such a hard player to place. He's kind of an enigma, right? Like, yeah, he's only got 12 goals, but it feels like all 12 of those goals were like gigantic goals, like overtime winners or game tying goals or a goal to put them ahead in the game. Like, yeah, he's really, really hard to place. Like, I don't blame you at all for flip-flopping Derek. Like, I'm struggling to think where I'm going to put him, because it feels like he should be producing more, but what he does is really big for the team. And the defense is not, it's not incredible. Like, he for sure is not a top playing D. Like, he should not be Mo Seider's partner, but, you know, it definitely worked better than Sherratt last year. And I think for the most part, it does work, but it's not perfect. And I think Wallman is kind of just a byproduct of what this defensive core is. There's really no players other than Seider. And I know we didn't talk about Evanston in this video, but I think Evanston's one of them too. Like, there was no real player that like steps up and like belongs in the number one pairing spot. Like, they all kind of just, they're bottom four defensemen, bottom pairing defensemen, and they all kind of rotate between every single iteration of what a defense is. And I know we're not really like ranking players on intangibles, but I will give him a point higher because he seems like he's the most fun player to play with. Like, just the energy he brings in the locker room. The dude's grittying after scoring goals. Like, we've seen like behind the scenes like videos that the Red Wings put out, and he's like always like dancing and stuff. And like, he just seems like the most fun player to be around in the locker room. And I think because of that, obviously that doesn't measure to his play on the ice, but I think because of that, I'm going to give him a B. I think he is a pretty important player to the team, but you know, he's 28. Like, he's not going to be any better than what he is right now, even though it feels like he should be. I mean, statistically, he's going to get worse with age, but you know, if he can just stick to flirting with like 20 goals a year, I mean, what do we have him for? Like 2 more years? I don't know what his contract is.
It might be just for 1 more year.
One more year. I mean, next year, if he can play 82 games and he's flirting with like 20 goals and just doesn't have any defensive blunders, I'm going to be okay with his performance. I just don't really want him to I don't want to see him on the top pair. I think he's a good bottom four defenseman. You know, can definitely play on the power play. He's got a cannon of a shot. I mean, his shot is just chef's kiss. It is so good. And like what you were saying, Zach, I would really struggle to give him term. I don't think you can give a guy like that when he's off this next contract. He'll be 29. I don't think you can pay him for like 5 or 6 more years, but
he's with us for 2 more years. So I lied.
Okay, he'll be 30 when his deal ends. Yeah, I can't see him getting like a 4 or 5 year contract. I really can't, but I'll put him at B. I think he is definitely an important player on the team. He definitely brings the locker room together. And yeah, I don't really know what happened to him at the end of the season, and he just couldn't crack the lineup. But he's all right.
I'm not going to argue with
He's
you.
all
Boys.
right.
You guys both went with B, so I'm okay with putting him at B. You know, at least he went over his point production. But you made a really good point, man. A lot of his goals, when he scored them, they came in at very clutch moments, right? Where it was in overtime or the game-winning goal or game-tying goal or just a game to put him ahead. So that was good. I don't want to do forwards today. I think we'll do that next weekend, boys. We're already over an hour.
We're a little bit in right now. We got halfway through the list, basically.
So yeah. Next Sunday, we'll finish this list off going over the forwards. So from here, we usually do an honorary Red Wings mention of the week. I didn't pick one. That's usually Carlos' thing. So we'll just save that for when he gets back. He's a little hungover today. He got a little excited with the Leafs losing last night. So
I don't think he's even actually there yet.
He's on the border for that one. Oh my God.
I hope he's hungover now, and that's it.
All right. Well, this is how it's shaping out so far. So we at least got one S. To no surprise, it's definitely Moritz Seider. We got 2 A's, Alex Lyon, Shane Ghostbear. Are we surprised? I mean, I guess we should ask the fans. Fans, if you guys are, thought differently or you're surprised by some of these picks, let us know down in the comments. We'd love to hear from you guys. But yeah, are we shocked by any of these, really? I'm a little surprised that we did put Husso in F. I kind of feel bad, but the rest of these,
are you looking back now and regretting stuff?
None of us really had, I mean, other than I put someone in B and you guys wanted to put someone in D. That was probably the only one. I can't remember who that was.
I'm a little surprised that Reimer is at C.
That was Petrie.
Oh, that was no, we said for Reimer. You guys wanted D, and then I asked to be in the middle to C. So Reimer might be the one that a lot of people are like, why the F did you put him in C? That's an F all the way. So.
I think a lot of people are going to be wondering why we even rank Petrie anything above an F.
Probably.
I'm surprised I didn't put him below F in the Petrie tier, but he's old. It feels mean at this point, right? It's like beating on an old dog. It's like they can't do anything.
I mean, we know why he's back in Detroit, so we can't be too upset with it. He's here to retire, guys. Let's be honest. His dad retired here, a freaking champion. Let him just retire here as a Red Wing.
I like that, Derek. Maybe he's going to retire as a champion next year. I definitely like that.
I do too, actually. As a 7th defenseman on the Red Wings, I would love him to retire as a champion. That's cool.
Well, all right. Yeah, that's the defense and the goalie so far. Boys, we got nothing else. So, good episode, honestly. Thanks for you guys sticking around. If you guys made it this far, for watching. If you haven't already, if you're new, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Hit the thumbs up. Let's get it to 20 likes. Rate it 5 stars on Spotify and hit that follow button on there as well. It makes Matt happy, as well as Derek, as you can see. Yeah, there you go, Matt. I like it. All right. Let's go into our final thoughts. Matt?
Well,
or Derek? I don't care.
Yeah.
Don't rush all at one time now. Come on. Hurry.
Yeah. Good show, boys. Fuck the Bruins. I hate them. They're frauds. There's not much else I really need to say. The Leafs are the Leafs, but the Bruins are getting swept next round. You can bet on that. Actually, what I do want to say that I meant to say earlier is when you were talking about Lyon, Zach, and you wanted to rank him in S tier, Jeremy Swayman is an S tier goalie. Like, holy hell, is that guy good? That's what an S tier goalie looks like, and man, do I wish we could have him on our team. So I'll give them their flowers. Swayman's good. The rest of them suck, and I hate them.
Hey, it's not our fault that Lyon has bad defense in front of him and Swayman has competent defense in front of him.
It certainly is not our fault.
We're just here for the fun. But, let's go Red Wings. Unlike Matt, I'm happy Toronto keeps up the beautiful tradition of losing in the first round. Let's keep that going forever. It was a fluke. Obviously, after they got destroyed in the second round, they didn't belong there. It's okay. They will stay forever in the first round. No worse, no better. Thank you, Boston. I appreciate it. Only because you actually won me money. That's about it. But let's go Red Wings. Stevie, if you need some help this offseason with like who to pick up and who to get rid of, Zanowski.derek@gmail.com. I'll help you out, buddy. We're here for you. I don't expect any emails, but it's okay. I'm here for it.
Ain't no way anyone's spelling that out the way you just said it. You can't say it that quickly.
Gonna type it in 10 times and he's gonna misspell it every time. Just be like, screw it, whatever. I'll just do it on my own.
There's so many letters that aren't even pronounced in my name. Have fun. At the same time, I don't want random people emailing me. I get enough of those anyway. So
Derek's last name is a jigsaw puzzle in its own. So my final thoughts are, let's go Red Wings. Let's go Grand Rapids Griffins, who ended up winning last night. They lead their series 2-1.
Oh, yeah.
Probably should have mentioned that earlier. I didn't, so I apologize. But looking forward to the summer. We got a lot of good things coming up. I also should have mentioned that we have our apparel and merchandise store now. So if you guys haven't checked that out, I know I'm slacking over here.
I was like, we should put that at the beginning of the episode. What are we doing?
I know. Hey, if you guys haven't checked that out, go ahead and check that out. Have a lot of good stuff on there. I highly recommend going a size up. There will be quite some shrinkage, a little bit, not quite some shrinkage, but going with cotton stuff, But go ahead and check that out if you haven't. Toronto sucks.
Yeah.
Even though they're probably going to get
swept.
Yeah,
but Toronto's fans, I love you all. Just eating each other up. It's great.
Yeah, I'll never understand fans burning jerseys. Like, I'll never understand that. I don't know how you guys have all that money just to spend to burn a jersey, but it's still funny. Keep doing it. It's fantastic.
Dude, did you see Maple Leaf Square? Like, all those kids look like rich kids where their daddies paid for all their jerseys. Like that was the entire vibe from Maple Leaf Square.
It probably is. Wouldn't be surprised.
Oh, damn. Yeah. I just realized this is 15 years old. 2009. Let's go.
Wow. Stop it, Derek. Stop it.
That was a good year.
Sure was. Yeah, I love 09. 08 was better, but, 09 is cool.
All right, the boys hopped into my final thoughts. Those are my final thoughts. We're going to end it here, boys. Thank y'all for joining us once again on this episode of Hockeytown Rundown. Until next time, we'll see y'all on the next one. Goodbye.
Bye, y'all.